I'm Michael Gaines, and glad you are joining us as we kick off another conversation about technology in the energy industry and talk to some experts, and also certainly get your questions answered as we dive into the conversation today. So thanks for joining us. No matter where you are in the world, we appreciate you tuning in and look forward to having a great conversation today. So before we kick off our main conversation, as always, want to pull in Shelby Dumaine to talk about how you can be a part of today's conversation and hopefully get your question in for our guest today. So, hey, Shelby, welcome. And this is, let's see, we've really been doing these shows for quite a bit. What episode are we at now today?
Yeah, Michael, it's really exciting. So we are at the 45th episode of NOV Live, and that's not including the Ask Assad show, which maybe some of our viewers tune into that as well. But for NOV Live, 45.
Nice, cool. All right. Well, so for this amazing, going to be the best show we've done, number 45. How can folks participate and be a part of the conversation?
Absolutely. So there's a couple different ways. The first and probably the easiest way, if you would like to get your question answered live on the show, you can just comment it below. So whether you're watching on Facebook, LinkedIn, or YouTube, we are in the comment section of all three platforms throughout the entire show. So go ahead and comment your question at any time. And at the end of the show for the live Q&A, we will go through those questions and get as many answered as we can live on the show. There's also a few other ways that you can get in contact with us later on after the show. If you have maybe an idea for a future episode or even a correction for us, I'm always happy to hear those as well. Go ahead and you can email us. So that's the first option. That's socialmedia@nov.com. So that email is on the screen now. And then you can also call us. I think viewers, if you watch the show often, you may know this is my favorite route. So you can call us and leave us a voicemail. You can stay anonymous if you'd like, or let us know your name and maybe even where you work. And that number is on the screen as well. It's country code +1 346 223 4799. So love for you to drop us a line, and we'd love to hear from you. So with that, now I've listed all the different ways how you can send us in your questions. But this is the time of the show now where I ask you a question. So it's time for Rig Geek Post of the Week.
Rig Geeks Post of the Week.
All right. So this week's question, as always, is a little bit of a clue for what the topic will be and the guest. Our question is, what XL Systems product was used on the deepest well ever drilled? And we're going by water depth for that. So if you think you know, go ahead and comment that below. And for bonus points, if you can name where that well was, maybe that can also be a clue as to how you know which well we're talking about. So if you know the location of it, as well as what XL Systems product was used, go ahead and comment that below. And at the end of the show, we're going to reveal the answer. So stick around so you can see if any of our Rig Geeks got that answer right.
Cool. All right. Thanks, Shelby. And yeah, absolutely. We're going to jump into our conversation today. I see folks that are just starting to join in. So looks like we've got some viewers here. Let's see. I've got India, Libya, some Brazil is represented, Algeria, and looks like many others. So definitely let us know where you're watching us from. We always like to try to recognize that when we can. So glad you're all here. So we're going to go ahead and just jump into our conversation. And we are talking about conductor-supported platforms. And that is something that we've taken an interest in here at NOV, and certainly have been putting some focused attention and resources to. So to talk about that and to give us some insight, I'm going to go on and bring our guest, Matt Tate, and he is joining us here from Houston. So, hey, Matt, thanks for joining us today.
Good morning, Michael. Thank you for having me.
All right. So, Matt, you are the regional sales manager for North and South America? Is that right, for XL Systems?
North and South America.
Okay,
yes,
perfect. Great. All right. So, as I just mentioned, we're talking about conductor supported platforms. I've heard you talk about it a little bit before, and I know that's an area, especially for those that are familiar, that has really grown in really an interest and popularity from an operator's point of view for sure, especially when you're talking about developing what would be considered marginal fields in that aspect. And certainly it's attractive because, they can do it in a fraction of the time that a traditional maybe jacketed platform would require. So so I know that there's a lot to cover. So maybe let's just kind of dive in and kind of as a high level and start for our conversation today. So let's talk about that and really how NOV is kind of approached and viewed this space.
Yeah, like you said, NOV's a company that can contribute in a number of different ways on these conductor-supported platforms. The unique thing about them, and it's incredibly relevant today, as operators are looking for ways to maximize the dollar value that they're spending on these offshore projects, and in many cases, you see offshore projects are planned out in years versus months, and so it's just a very long cycle to bring these offshore projects online. And what these conductor supported platforms do is allow an operator to enter at a lower capex point and bring these projects online, in some cases in under a year, which for the offshore segment is just a huge value driver when you're looking at trying to get a return on these dollars spent. The unique thing about them too is that they're really, you can utilize them all over the world. There's examples and projects that we've participated in on here in the Caribbean. There's opportunities for them in Mexico, West Africa, and Asia Pacific are also, you're seeing a real interest as operators are kind of moving away from these large capex, large scale offshore development projects and trying to utilize existing infrastructure. And these CSPs allow that opportunity for the operator to tie back to an existing production facility that might already be in place. And so they can bring new wells online, utilize existing capacity on another production platform that's already in place. So the value add for these CSPs, especially in this climate, is just tremendous for the operators. They can do it for a fraction of what some of the traditional jacketed development projects would take. So
right.
It's exciting to be part of it.
And especially having the capability, like you said, I mean, really trying to maximize or layer both efficiencies and ability to get to those either marginal fields or locations of interest is certainly a value add. I can definitely get that for sure, and that animation did kind of help a little paint a little bit better picture for me. So I get the concept of CSPs or conductor supported platforms, like that makes sense. I think you kind of laid out a pretty good case for at least high level why that would be a route that maybe an operator would take. So help me understand, how does XL Systems sort of fit into the overall CSP platform, or excuse me, not platform, it is, but the CSP space. How does that work, and how do you and the team kind of fit there?
So as the name kind of indicates, in where XL Systems participates is in the conductor market. And in these cases, the conductor pipe for some of the wells themselves are the actual structure of these small platforms. And so what XL Systems does is supplies the pipe, and then of course the threaded connector on the conductor pipe that'll be used for the installation of these platforms. And so the threaded connector that we do use is an XLCS product that's a flush OD and ID integral connector. It's really been successful for us as a base case for many of the conductor platforms out there, because it allows the operator to have the geometry of just pipe. There's no upset. There's no ID upset to account for. When you're designing these platforms, it's just as if these pipes were all one continuous threads, give us an opportunity. They're very, very robust in their fatigue performance, which is a huge factor in the design of these platforms. As well, they're multi-purpose. They're both the structure for the platform themselves, but then subsequently the wells that will be drilled from this platform can be run through these same conductor legs. So it's quite unique in that aspect.
Mm. So, one of the other items that I think you've talked about in some other spaces, but we hadn't talked about it on NOV Live historically, was really talking about, specifically within XL Systems, the Scorpion product line. I think that's something that I've heard you talk about before. Can you, for those that aren't familiar, can you talk about what that is and why that's important to talk about?
So the Scorpion connector was one we just released in the last couple of years, and it was really designed for operators in the climate now where every dollar counts. It was really designed to have multiple application uses, but really be right sized for the markets that it serves. And what's unique about Scorpion is we were able to leverage a lot of the expertise and the technology that we utilize in our Viper connector, which is a tried and true fatigue rated ultra deep water connector, and employ some of that into a new Scorpion connector that can really hit a lot of checkpoints for the operators from a technical perspective. Most importantly, in the world we live in today, cost. And kind of right sizing. So some of the connectors that we see for ultra deep water wells don't necessarily translate to a land well in the Middle East or a shallow water platform in Asia Pacific. And so we were able to right size this connection in a way that the customer still gets all the features that Viper brought with the quick makeup, excellent robust technical performance, but fit the commercial application that it's being suited for. As well, what kind of makes this one unique as well is our wedge thread product lines are always built in our XL Systems facilities. One of the reasons we launched the Scorpion product was to participate in markets that may have a content requirement. And that's something that from country to country can be a variable in your success in that region. And so the Scorpion connector is one that we can deliver to any country in the world that has the capability to weld these products on in country and allow the operator to again check that box that they're utilizing in country infrastructure to deliver these projects. And that's as we see, that's a huge factor in some of these bids. So being able to drop ship these connections into multiple countries and allow them to have the performance that they get from the Scorpion connector, but utilize it in that content country is huge.
So if you're just joining us, we're talking with Matt Tate. He is the regional sales manager for North and South America with XL Systems, and we're having a conversation on CSPs, or conductor supported platforms, and specifically talking about the contributions of the XL Systems team here at NOV and how they are providing innovative approaches and perspectives to that area. So if you have a question for Matt on conductor supported platforms in almost any capacity, that's why we have him here. So feel free to put your question in the comment section, whether you're watching us on LinkedIn, Facebook, or YouTube, and we will try to get those questions answered in just a few moments when we head over to the Q&A portion. So Matt, I want to go ahead and circle back with you and kind of pivot a little bit, talking about more kind of a renewables approach, and maybe specifically kind of the geothermal landscape. So I know that the geothermal, even looking at areas in alternative energy and power generation are certainly everyday conversations now. So I wanted to maybe talk about the value and approach that the XL Systems team and certainly yourself have taken when we're looking at kind of the CSP space and really how we approach that. How do you view that?
It's exciting. So, obviously renewable energy is something that's talked about frequently, both inside our industry and out. What's great to see is a lot of the technology that we've gained in oil and gas is applicable in these new markets. And as as we talk about geothermal, there's a lot of parallels that can be employed, that NOV participates in. And then specifically from XL Systems, we have product lines that are uniquely suited to fit these applications as well. So, as geothermal, they're drilling a hole into the ground and you need casing to support that. And so ironically, our very first connection, our XLF connection, gives these geothermal operators, exactly what they're looking for in terms of pipe and connector performance for these applications. So it's really exciting as well to kind of broaden our footprint outside of the oil and gas space into countries that really historically have not been energy or certainly oil and gas producing countries. So it's nice to be able to take it. We have that expertise from being able to run pipe from drill ships and jackup rigs and land wells, and kind of take that to the geothermal space and give them solutions that are fit to kind of expand this growing market. So it's exciting to see where it's going to go. It's exciting to see the inquiries coming in for these places. We never really 5 years ago would have thought of this as a market niche for us. And so we were excited to see where this continues to grow, and we've got product line that can support those projects. So
right. And so, I mean, to your point, I know some folks might say, okay, well, I have a geothermal application. I'm, historically, maybe I wouldn't think of XL Systems, but to your point, you're saying, hey, not only do we have the product, but we have the full support team to be able to help in that capacity, and certainly the background and historical knowledge on the product to be able to talk to some of those applications as well.
Correct. Yeah, we've definitely supported some to date, and we're seeing them in more frequency as countries look to this alternative energy resources. So. Yes, we have a lot of expertise to apply. We have past experience with projects that we have supported. But yes, we're open to that discussion and look forward to the growth in that market. Good.
Well, one thing that is a constant phrase used, and it doesn't matter where you go, is time is money. And so when you start looking at especially the operational considerations and really time savings when you're looking at using some of the technologies and approaches we've talked about today, that's definitely top of mind for many. I mean, almost everybody, like you said. So one of the items that we wanted to talk about was the XLW GT product line. That one has been another good one from what I understand in terms of performance, but also really helping meet customer needs when they need it, especially if you're looking at it from a time savings or time consideration standpoint. So talk about that a little bit and why that's been the case.
Yes, correct. Yeah. So time on a rig is definitely money. And it's one that every operator takes significant account for. And at the conclusion of a well, there's always kind of a reconciling of where we did well, what we could have improved on. In the XLW GT product, really, not to reuse the phrase again, but checks a lot of boxes in that regard. The simplicity of the design, but the performance of the connector really lend itself to what our offshore, operators are looking for. When it came about in 2014 and 2015 when we launched it, we weren't really sure what the success would look like, and it's the field performance and its run history to date have been flawless. And what you can see on the graphic there, to put that in perspective, we're picking up 40-foot, 42-foot joints of 22 by 1 conductor pipe, and we're making it up and ready to run in the hole in about 3 minutes. And that's, when you think about how big this stuff is, and the safety that is taken to make sure people are safe that are handling it, getting them screwed together and getting these whole sections complete faster is a win-win for everybody. On top of that, when you think about this product, a number of our peers, have to employ secondary tools, or you have to have a toolkit or a hammer or something to run this material. And what's great about XLW GT is everything that can be run, everything required to run this product is on the rig already. That it's going to be there for that whole, so you don't have to send out an extra toolkits. There's not pieces that need to be accounted for, and that's what makes it so fantastic for these operators that are putting together 4,000 5,000 foot strings of
Right.
very, very large pipe. So
That's really cool. Yeah, no, I appreciate one, kind of you walking us through some of the, like I said, the perspectives and kind of how you all really looked at the space, and certainly it makes sense in that capacity. So I did want to go ahead and bring in Shelby, and I know that there are several really common questions that you and the team and many others get. So I wanted to maybe dive into some of those today, if we could, Shelby,
Sure.
to maybe help give some additional perspective for viewers. And again, if you have questions for Matt on anything we've talked about, whether that's the XLW GT product or conductor supported platforms in general, feel free to put that in the comment section, and we'll try to get to that. So yeah, Shelby, what are some of those common questions that we know that Matt and the team get from time to time?
Absolutely. So this one's about XL systems in general. Could you talk a little bit, Matt, about how testing is handled?
Yes. So testing's a concept that comes up just about with every customer, especially when you're talking about running pipe offshore. You need to be able to give the pedigree of what makes it technically suitable to be run offshore. And one of the things that XL Systems has been built on is our testing expertise. And so our engineering team have their own R&D facility in Waller, Texas, that can conduct full-scale physical testing of these connectors with the pipe itself that it's going to be done on. And we've done this really prior to any connector rollout, specifically with our deep water connectors, where the fatigue performance is a criteria for product selection for these operators. And so we have a lab there in Waller, Texas, that can conduct the full range of fatigue testing that our operators require from us.
Okay. And so, I think it's really good to know, because I know that one of the things we talk about a lot is the overall kind of R&D focus that we have at NOV, which certainly is robust. Could you just talk a little bit more about your Waller facility there? Because I think for me, I'm always interested, obviously, in the technology, but also to know that there's some folks that are working in some great shop somewhere trying to get these things tested and validated. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, sure. So the facility has a make and break capability, so we can actually make these joints up vertically like they would on a rig, and you can then make and break is a criteria that we do have to satisfy for some of the testing requirements. We also have a load frame that can apply different load forces on the pipe in the connectors themselves, again, to meet kind of industry standard criteria, as well as we have a machine that tests the connector fatigue performance, that they turn it on and let it run, and we evaluate the performance of the connector that way as well, to kind of show how that connector will react through its life cycle, and how many cycles that connector can take before potentially something might happen. So like I said, it's been utilized for years. It's a resource that we offer to our customers as well. When they have unique applications, it's an opportunity to test, to see how things will work before we implement them in the field. So it's a tremendous resource, and the team that works out there does a really, really good job. And I think that's a big reason for our success globally, is that you can do a lot of things on a computer. You can evaluate things a lot of different ways, but doing it with physical testing really put some meat behind it. When we say this connector can perform to this criteria. So no, it's been a tremendous resource for us.
Good. All right. Well, I think that's been some really good insight. I know that, as always, invariably folks want to find additional information or want to get in contact. So wanted to see what's the best way for folks to do that, to get more information. Maybe they're watching this after we've gone live. How do you want them to circle around with you and the team, Matt?
Sure. So they can always go through the NOV website. There's a form submittal button there that you can submit any questions or inquiries that you might have in regards to our product. That's something that our customers use frequently as they're preparing for operations, their documentation and stuff that might be used. So the NOV website is one resource as well. The XL Systems showcase page on LinkedIn is another way to connect with us there.
Okay.
So I think those are the two most expeditious routes.
Yeah, sure. Okay. Good. Well, yeah, we'll be sure to certainly put a link to the website and yeah, certainly the LinkedIn page. I mean, I know that you and some great team members are helping make that a real great place to have some conversations, both high level but also technical conversation. I know you're. Yeah. I try to stump you from time to time, but so far my score is pretty low, so that's fine. But yeah, no, we'll definitely make sure we put those links in the chat for folks. So good. Well, been speaking with Matt Tate. He is the regional sales manager for North and South America for XL Systems, and we've been talking about CSPs or conductor supported platforms and how XL Systems plays a part in that. So Matt, thanks for sharing your time and expertise today.
Thank you, Michael.
All right. Well, we're going to go ahead and bring Shelby back in to give us the answer for our Rig Geeks post of the week, our trivia question that I, unfortunately today I do know the answer, but I'm not going to steal your thunder. So Shelby, give us a question again, please. And then let's see what the answer is.
Absolutely. So that question one more time, we asked what XL Systems product was used on the deepest well ever drilled. And we were going by water depth here for the deepest well ever drilled. And drum roll for that. The correct answer is the Viper connector, and that was in Uruguay. So bonus points if you knew the location of that as well as the connector used. So that's our Rig Geek answer this week.
All right. Well, thanks, Shelby. And again, thanks to Matt, Tate, and certainly you for joining us on today's NOV Live. We always appreciate you being a part of the conversation. So if you ever have questions, comments, or thoughts on the show, or any other comments or feedback for us, certainly welcome to put those in the comment section here. Or again, you can send us an email or a phone call, and we'd be more than happy to get in touch with you. So for all of us here at NOV, thanks for watching and for listening, and we'll talk to you again next time.